Hello YouTube. I wanted to release a video that's kind of personal message, but the problem is the video was way too long. It was over an hour, and sadly the file got corrupted. So I'm gonna have to remake that video, but I still wanted to go out that video. That being said, the reason why I'm making another video that's the subject itself is totally different. It's more like a self motivation subject. And when I say self motivation, I mean I'm basically talking about myself and how I see things the way I see. In other words, my perspective. And it relates to this picture that I'm using. As usual on this YouTube channel, whenever I use a picture, it's for a good reason. It has a meaning behind it. And that being said, this picture that you see right here is a warlord from a fantasy game called Total War Warhammer 3. And I've been playing that game. That game is available on PC, by the way. And this warlord kind of, how do I say this? It appeals me because of the right reason in the most relatable but awkward way. Now, when it comes to video games are usually appealing to the audience in terms of fantasy, of what kind of fantasy the players themselves want to gravitate towards. Like, for example, being the best basketball player. Obviously, players are gonna play sports games, being good at sports. Games like Call of Duty, well, you're a spec ops playing as a soldier to the point where you're like super soldier, badass special forces, etc., etc. So in other words, video games essentially emulate that fantasy. Now, that being said about fantasy, and I know I sound like a broken record when I repeat my words, but I'm trying to make a point about this warlord. This warlord, ironically, and this is the most ironic thing about this warlord, is that he's very aggressive for a faction that is well known for their passivity. Now, if you know anything about Warhammer, both fantasy and the sci-fi version, which is Warhammer 40k, both of them has the same antagonist, which is the four Chaos Gods. Now, Warhammer Fantasy and Warhammer 40k, there are two series of totally different settings with their own characters. So it's kind of like Marvel and DC. While it's known that Marvel and DC did have a crossover in the comic books, which is, by the way, fun fact, they had their own setting, their own things separately. And Warhammer is basically Warhammer Fantasy and Warhammer 40k is kind of like the same concept. They're separate, but they have their own settings and their own characters. However, what Warhammer Fantasy and 40k have in common is the antagonist, which is the four Chaos Gods. There's Slanesh, the Chaos God of pleasure, excess, immoral, excessive pleasure. There's Siege, which is change, manipulation, magic. There's Khorne, which is bloodshedding, violence, murder. And then there's nurgle, which is disease, decay, and atrophy. Now, what all Chaos Gods have in common is that they're evil. They're evil in the characteristic and best way I can put it, they're evil in the sense that, in a moral sense, they're evil. However, all Chaos Gods, they do have a positive, like a positive character, like something good about them. So, despite that, I said they're evil, there is some positive character about the four Chaos Gods. So, Slanesh, despite that as being excessive moral or pleasure, immoral pleasure, my bad. Slanesh is also about enjoying life, enjoying the sensation of living through the moment. That which is the whole point of pleasure. And Slanesh is personally my most favorite Chaos God because of that. As for Zinch, he's all about innovation, hope, changing for the greater good, which is why Zinch, I believe Zinch is like the second, or if not the most popular Chaos God faction in Warhammer 4K. I could be wrong about that. Everyone have their different tastes, but in the Warhammer community, I think Zinch is like the second, if not the most popular Chaos God. And then there's Khorne, which is the positive traits of Khorne is about honor, straightforwardness, martial morale, anything that's related to a warrior in a positive way. Khorne is basically about that. And of course, there's Nurgle. Nurgle is about immortality, durability, renewal of life, seeing life as a cycle. And despite I just brought up all the positivity, the chaos themselves, they're essentially evil in the most basic term I could put. Now, why I'm kind of describing it is because it's just to give you guys a better understanding where I'm going with this. Now, the Chaos God Nurgle, he is known for, aside from stagnation, disease, and decay, and of course the renewal of life, the cycle of life, he's also known for passivity. He's not very active, and when he is active, he usually uses zombies or essentially monsters to forcibly spew out disease to spread the disease. But ironically, what's kind of ironic about the all four Chaos God is that when it comes to fighting, they all have their preference and methods of how to fight. Slanesh is all about speed and swiftness. Zinch is all about range, magic, and of course Nurgle is all about poisoning and decaying your enemy. And of course Khorne, the most straightforward Chaos God, is all about close quarter combat and literally getting to your enemy's face and bash their skull out. Which is why you hear in the Warhammer community, blood for the blood god, skull for the skull throne. Let the galaxy burn. But anyway, back to the topic and back to the point that I'm trying to get to. This character that you see right here in this picture, his name is Tamakrit. I think I'm butchering that name, but I will leave a link down in the description below about his character and what he's all about. And of course the video game that he's in, which is Total War Warhammer 3. Now, there is something that I like about this character. And what I love about this character is what he represents. And you could say that his representation appeals to my personal fantasy that I personally like. And that's that he's essentially aggressive in the most ironic way, because when you think about passivity, being passive is like not doing anything, not doing much. You're just living through the emotions. But this character represents an aggressive passive. Not, I'm not saying like passive aggressive behavior. I'm not saying that. I'm saying he represents an aggressiveness that you mix it up perfectly in a, you mix aggressive with passive in the most harmonic way that you, it's not like, it's kind of difficult when you think about passive aggressive. It's like a switch, but this character mixed passive and aggressive as if two fluids are mixing with each other, blending with each other to the point where it's its own character itself. I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say. When you guys think about passive aggressive, it's like a switch. You're being passive in one moment, now you're aggressive in another moment. But this character, he's belongs to a faction that's known for passivity, and yet he's aggressive. He's aggressive where he managed to make the passivity of his faction as his strength while being aggressive, and he perfectly blends the aggressiveness and the passive very perfectly to the point where he's essentially his own character himself. And what I love about this character is that he declared himself as warlord and Nurgle's favorite children or chosen favorite warlord. And in matter of fact, when you play the game and when you play as him, it constantly like states that he is becoming Nurgle's favorite warlord. That being said, what I kind of love about him is that if you're not on his side, he sees you as an enemy that he's willing to bash you down. And at the same time, he's all about conquest. He's all about making his reality, like making sure that whatever he's dreaming about, whatever he wants, becomes a reality. And he repeatedly makes a statement about that. What I'm trying to say is that he's aggressively wanting to do his goals, and he's taking action into making it into a reality. And the funny thing about Nurgle in Warhammer series is that Nurgle is a very passive chaos god. But the reason why he has an army is because in Warhammer franchise, you know, it's constantly war. That's why the series itself is called Warhammer. It's constantly wars, and all four Chaos Gods have their own army because it's constant warfare. But the funny thing about Nurgle is that if you read more about his lore, you read more about Nurgle's character, he's all about passivity because he relies on the disease itself to essentially quote unquote conquer people. But this character, aside from spreading diseases, he actively and aggressively go out, conquer people physically. And what else I like about this character is that he makes friends along the way, essentially forming his own club and forming his own gang. And then he starts forming his own, how do I say this? His own cliques in the higher ups, because all of his friends are high ranking, military people. Because he's a warlord, and he makes friends that eventually his friends become warlord through his grace. It's like the CEO making friends, and his friends are becoming manager of the company that he works for. So this character appeals to me because it kind of reminds me, in a sense, myself. In my younger years, I'm passive because I just go through the motions. But what's going on with me lately is that I wanted to do more, and I want to be more aggressive of how to get my goals done, how to make my dreams into a reality. And when I was playing this video game, this warlord kind of like he sparked that motivation in me to do more. As of me making this video, I've been going to the gym lately, trying to lose the weight, because right now I'm in the danger zone of becoming fat. Technically, I am fat. I'm quote unquote skinny fat. So I'm trying to get in shape to, properly have a proper body. And that being said, I've started to develop habits of cleaning my living space. And as of me making this video, I just cleaned the bathroom. Now it looks sparkling clean, and it looks way less disgusting, and it smells good. And of course, I got into a car accident, but through the action that I took, I managed to get some money from the car insurance. By the way, it wasn't my fault, so it was definitely free money for me. And got my car repaired, and now my car looks like nothing ever happened. See, I'm doing stuff, I'm taking action, I'm progressing. And this character, he kind of appeals to me because he sort of reminds me of myself. In a sense, I am a passive man. I am a passive YouTuber. But at the same time, I want to go out and do shit, do stuff. And this character reminds me of myself, because despite me being passive, I want to make my dreams into a reality. And in order to do that, I need to take action, and I need to be more aggressive. Well guys, I'm gonna end this video, and I hope you like this video. I'm probably will remake this video because I really do like this character, and I'm probably gonna use this character as like a motivation video. I know there's a lot of passive, quote unquote passive man out there, but I hope this video is a motivation for you guys to do shit, get stuff done. There was a beautiful video that talks about how passivity is a slow death, while being active is living life. And I'm gonna leave that video in the description down below, a video link. Well guys, I'm gonna end it here, and thank you for watching. Goodbye.